So I've just gone and bought myself a very cheap BMW X5M. It's cheap because it's broken. The aim of today's video, try and fix it and make some money. And if I can't fix it, I still think I can make some money. Now, regular viewers of my channel will know I'm not actually a big fan of BMWs, but this was going cheap. And I'm gonna let you know exactly how much I paid for it in a moment. But to give you an idea, there's only 3 of these for sale on Auto Trader, and the cheapest one is £14,000, and that's been written off as a category N. This is HPI clear, but there is a problem with the engine. It has a misfire. So we're gonna look into that and try and work out exactly what that misfire is and see if I can fix it relatively cheap. But to just go around the car, it looks like a really nice car. It's done 83,000 miles. It's in a nice blue. I don't know the color. As I said, don't know much about BMWs, but it's got a really nice white interior, and the condition of the car is actually pretty good. So it's got full service history, it's got heads-up display, and that's about as much as I can tell you spec-wise. And just going around the rest of the car, alloys do need a refurb. Bodywork, though, is in pretty good condition. There's no major damage on it at all. In fact, there's not really any damage at all. I think the only thing I've really spotted is a scratch to this wing, which, do the old nail test, if you can feel it with your nail. Actually, oh no, if you can feel it with your nail, it means it won't polish out. And I can, but I reckon that'll come mostly out. And guys, live right now on Compete for Cars, you can win this Audi RS4 4.2 litre V8 with a really unique spec. It has factory carbon ceramic brakes. It has factory wing back bucket seats in there as well, along with my rubbish, which you won't have to take with the car. And it's in prism silver as well, which is a rare colour, low mileage, HPI clear, and it's had some resonator deletes as well, so it sounds really nice. Really nice car, but if you don't want the RS4, then you can choose to take this Volkswagen Touareg instead. I bought this from Volkswagen main dealer a year ago. It's now surplus to requirements. It has a year's warranty left, a year's MOT cover, and another free service as well. It also comes with this trailer if you wish to take it. If not, there's a cash alternative for the whole lot. So click on the link in the description, £2.99 a ticket. The winner will choose whether they want the car or the trailer or the RS4. Good luck. Now, the only BMW I've ever had on my channel before was a crash-damaged M2 that had rolled over that I rebuilt, and I did actually like that car. But we're just going to jump straight in. I'm going to put the video to the M2 actually in the top right-hand corner. Let's just jump straight in and start this thing up and see exactly what it does. Now, a massive thank you to ASM Autos, where the car come from, where I won it at auction. They delivered the car to me the other day. So go check them out. I'm going to put the link in the description for them. Really do like working with ASM. So let's just start it up. So this has got a 4.4 litre V8. It's done 83,000 miles. And we can hear it ain't happy. So it smells really rich. It's clearly misfiring. So it's clearly an issue, but the good news is it doesn't seem to be knocking. So whether that means it's going to be a simple fix or not, I don't know. But it was sold at a salvage auction, so usually that's because the owner does not want any liability for any issues that are found after he disposes of it. So without further ado, I reckon we should... Well, the first obvious thing is to take the plugs out, have a look at those. No, I'm going to put a code reader on it, actually. Now, I've just popped the boot on this to have a look at the battery, because obviously I need a jump pack to start it. And the battery's not even connected. Literally not connected. And there's some weird green stuff. I have no clue what that is. Is it... I wonder if it's this coolant. No, your coolant wouldn't be green. Let me have a look at that in a minute. There must be 2 batteries on this car. I've got a load of invoices. I'm going to go through those in a minute. I've got a book pack as well, so I'm going to sift through all that and let you know anything interesting. But what is interesting is that green stuff and the fact that there must be another battery on it somewhere. So I don't know what that green stuff is. Load of paperwork there, which is now damp. I do have a handbook, but I think all the service history is on the iDrive on BMW, so I'll have a look at that in a minute. I am just going to connect this up and see what happens. It does do something, so the most obvious thing I'm going to do now is just start it back up and see what happens, because let's have a look at the iDrive. I don't know how to work this thing. Right, nothing about service history, so I don't know. But I'm going to try starting up again. So the first thing I want to do is check my codes, and I plugged in my top-down code reader, but weirdly I couldn't communicate with the engine control module. It is the only one that wouldn't get any communication. So I wondered if that was maybe my problem. So I started off by checking all the fuses to the ECU, and that is under the glove box in the boot, checking everything. And whilst I was there, I checked all the rest of the fuses as well, and I couldn't find any issues. So then I went into the engine bay and took the covers off for the ECU just to check the connection to see if there's anything obvious for a reason why it wouldn't communicate. But I couldn't find anything wrong. But I've now managed to randomly get into it, so I don't know whether pushing all those fuses out and in, wiggling all the wires has helped, but it seems to be working at the moment. And a load of history faults, and the only one that's current is actually just a data bus communication fault. But we do have a cylinder 6 misfire, so let me just try and clear those. Right, there's no faults. I'm going to now start it back up and see what happens. Right, it's definitely misfiring still, so let's see if we can... Okay, there's quite a lot of... Right, let's turn it off. It's definitely misfiring. So there we've got mainly cylinder 6 misfire, and then crankshaft intake, camshaft reference, exhaust. So I'm going to do a quick Google and see what those codes come back with, but maybe to do with the cylinder 6 misfire. Now after going through these codes, I started the engine, let it run for a little bit, and I actually went into actuation tests and did a VANOS test, but you have to do it with the engine running, as it says there. So I did that, and then it started making a horrible noise, and now I've got faults for... oh it's because I've got the engine off. So now I've got misfires on cylinder 6, 5 and 7. So that's one bank in particular. So let me just start it up again so you can hear it, see if it still does that noise. Yeah. It sounds horrible now. Really bad. And it was after I did this. Intake active. See? Stop. So it makes it worse. If I do the exhaust side, doesn't make any difference. So the engine noise is slowly getting worse and worse, and as you just saw, it got worse when it activated the inlet VANOS. So all the codes look like they're linked, and it's like, what come first, the chicken or the egg? Have I got the misfire first, or have I got the VANOS error first? And I think it's probably the VANOS error. So our codes could be issues with VANOS on the intake, or a possible stretched timing chain, or a fault on the timing chain, either a broken guide, faulty tensioner. I'm going to say it's one of those first. I don't think we've got an injector spark plug issue. I think we've got a timing chain or a VANOS unit issue. And as I said, I have no idea about BMW, so I'm going to go do some research now and see how we can, obviously whip a cover off, hopefully, and have a look and try and diagnose it. So the solenoids on the camshafts are quite a common problem and they are quite easy to check. So I'm going to do that first just to eliminate them. And to do that, we need to remove the airbox cover and the charge cooler. And I'm going to concentrate on bank 2 because that is where my problems are. So once I've removed the charge cooler, I can gain access to the solenoids, one bolt, pull them out the head and test them. There we go. So there seems to be two ways of testing these. One, testing the ohms resistance, and the other one is just to do a power probe just to see it working. So you can see in there, you can hear it. That seems to be working fine. 11.1, so this is spot on. So according to the tests, there's nothing wrong with this one at all, and this was the main cause for concern. I have also done an ohm check on the other one, on the exhaust side, and the ohms are fine on it. So I'm just going to take it out now, and we'll do an actuator test. Just testing the other one. Absolutely fine as well. So nothing to do with the solenoids. So again, I'm just going to clean this one back up, stick this one back in, and look for someone else. So where we're up to is I've got misfires on all cylinders on bank 2, so 5, 6, 7 and sometimes 8 all misfiring, and I've got codes for camshaft, crankshaft correlation, so basically it thinks they're not completely in sync, and that only happens on bank 2 as well. So for that reason, I don't think it's anything to do with rod bearings, because I don't think that would be so bank specific and also throw out timing errors. And it sounds like it's coming from top end. Now, I've just taken out all the spark plugs for bank 2 just to have a look at them. And they're not that great, to be honest. They are pretty, 2 of them are a little bit oily and they're all just mank. Now, don't get me wrong, the probability of having 4 spark plugs dud is quite low, but we could have a coil pack spark plug injector issue. I'm leading more towards a timing chain issue myself, maybe a guide or a tensioner weak, because I have had a look at an engine diagram of this engine, and the camshafts are run on separate chains. So there's 2 chains. One goes from the crank to the bank 1 head, and another chain goes from the crank to the bank 2 head. So they can, one side can be out of correlation without affecting the other. So while I've got the spark plugs out, I may as well do a compression test on this bank, which I have started by screwing in my compression tester into cylinder 5. So I'm just going to do that for all 4 cylinders on this side and compare results. Now, if we've got a timing issues, I'd expect compression to be down a little bit, but we'll see. I've pulled the fuse for the fuel pump as well, so it shouldn't start on the other bank. Okay, well it did start on the other bank. No compression whatsoever. Now, I'd be silly not to get a bore scope down there to check the pistons to see what we've got before I do anything else. And as you can see, we have some pistons touching some valves, and it's a tough one. I personally don't think that is too bad. It looks like they've just kissed the top of the pistons. I can't see any other damage. I can't see any chunks. I can't see any bore score, anything like that. So it may just be a case of they are just kissing the pistons and may have got away with one there. But either way, the engine's now got to come out. So now we know it's not going to be an easy fix and the engine's got to come out for repair. But at the beginning of this video, I did say I would try and fix it if it was an easy fix. And if not, I still think I could make some money selling on with a diagnosis. So I did exactly that. I actually cleaned the car up a little bit and listed it on eBay over the weekend for more than I paid for it. And I have had some interest back. But now the question is, do I sell or do I fix? Do I stick or do I twist? So there we have it. The valves have kissed the top of the pistons. Now, as I've just said, I don't think that's going to be catastrophic for the engine. It looks like they have just kissed the top of the piston, so I don't think it's going to affect those. But realistically, you're probably going to want to put new valves in just as a fail-safe. I think you can get a pretty cheap head on eBay. I've had a quick look. So I suspect timing chain's failed, tensioner or a guide's broken, and yeah, we've got a timing issue, which is why we've got no compression, valves are touching the pistons, and it's only happening on bank 2. So it obviously now needs the engine coming out. And I said at the beginning of this video that I bought the car because it was cheap and I could either diagnose it and fix it cheap and sell it on, or worst case, I could probably diagnose it and sell it for a profit. Now, I paid £6,000, including fees and delivery, for this car, which I thought was cheap, which is the whole reason I bought it. I've actually put it on eBay over the weekend, and I thought I'd be a bit cheeky and put it up for £9,000, and I gave them a diagnosis report of what I think's wrong with the car. I have actually had a few offers of £7,500. So I can sell this car for a very easy £1,500 profit if I wanted to, and it's taken me, what, half a day to diagnose it. So that's very easy money. And I guess this always goes back to, this is the risk that I take every time I buy a car. What can I sell it for, worst case scenario? If it's at least equal to what I paid for the car, then it's a no-brainer. It's always worth the risk. And that is what I do every single time I bid on a car. So the real question is now, do I sell it or do I fix it? And I guess I know I'm used to Volkswagen Audi cars and I'm a lot more comfortable with those, I'll be honest. But it's just the fear of the unknown. I've never done any engine work on a BMW before, so it's just literally that unknown factor is why I'm a bit cautious of doing it. But let me know in the comments, guys, would you want me to strip this engine down? Because I am curious, I am interested to strip it down and see what's failed, no doubt about it. But I'm also very much aware that it might be a bit tricky. I don't know. Plus, I won't be able to start it for a little while, purely because my next car that I've got coming, the next episode is... Sorry, I had a delivery there. Some of my Octavia VRS parts have come in. Anyway, so let me know in the comments, do you want me to attempt to fix it, or shall I just let it go for the £1,500 profit? Or I might be able to get a little bit more, I don't know. And as I said, yeah, the next car I've got to do it first because it's a lot more expensive than this car. And I'll be honest, when I bought it, it shouldn't have had the problem that it's got. And I've had it for a while and I've been scammed again. I think I've been scammed again by another auction house. So I'm probably going to do that video first because I want to get that car done because it is depreciating a lot more than this one is. So if you have enjoyed this video, guys, do let me know in the comments. Let me know if you thought £6,000 was a good price for the car. Is £7,500 a good price to sell it for? Or do you want me to attempt to fix it and get it back to its full potential value of around £15,000? So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. And don't forget, go buy your tickets on the Touareg trailer or RS4. Cheers, guys.